Alright, welcome to another Warhammer 2v2 battle. This one is featuring myself as the Dark Elves and Navarre+Otter with the heavy metal doors. And then we've got in the back two bears high-fiving playing Skaven, and then Justice with the High Elves. In terms of army comps, the dwarfs are very, very solid with a unit, 4 units of Ironbreakers and chevrons on top of that. So those guys are not going to budge to pretty much anything. They've got 102 leadership, 76 melee defense, missile damage, and decent weapon strength. So these guys are going to be absolute nightmares to deal with for any sort of chaff infantry. For myself, oh, sorry, and Lord, he's got Ungrim Iron Fist. He does have one gyrocopter for a little bit of mobility, which is nice. And then in terms of artillery, he's got one cannon, two cannons, and an organ gun. So 2 cannons and an organ gun seems to be something I'm seeing a lot from Dwarf players. And I guess they will do very well against Skaven artillery, one would think. For myself, Dreadlord and Raven Heralds, I thought something I've been just experimenting with lately and having some fun with. Put the Dreadlord on a Dragon. Normally I take him on a Pegasus because he's faster and then he can keep up with the Raven Heralds if I do choose to bring him. But this is, to be clear, this is the shooting Dreadlord. This is the one with the sword and the crossbow, and he's got the buff loose to +10 reload skill, so you keep the Raven Heralds close by, and or any of these Dark Riders, and it buff that, or the Guiding Eye as well, +20% armor pen. So they work well together. And then, yeah, so what do we have here from Justice? He's got Tyrion and Major Shadows. Good stuff there. Justice likes to bring Penundulum, so it wouldn't surprise me if he has that. Yeah, Penundulum, Enfeebling Foe, and Malakos. And then we've got two bears high-fiving. You just brought Tretch with Hell Pit Abomination. I like the Hell Pit Abomination pick. Obviously, absent from his build are, in my opinion, Rat Ogres, but he does have some Poison Wind Globadiers who can provide some anti-large, and just a ton of artillery. Look at this artillery. He's got one Warp Lightning Cannon, 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, and 3 Plague Claw Catapults. So that is so much. 4 Plague Claw Catapults. So obviously he's really committed to winning the artillery game, and that can be very punishing versus Dwarf and Dark Elves. So we'll see how things go. I'm going to hit play and we'll get it started. I do have a Sorceress of Fire and Repeater Bolt Thrower. And my Sorceress of Fire, I've got pretty standard stuff. Burning Head, it's good against Skaven, Flame Sword of Ruin, and Cascading Fire Cloak. So early shots, we got the Organ Gun shooting in on the White Lines of Trace. It's doing okay, but Justice is going to recognize that and pull them back. He's a smart player. Meanwhile, these Warp Lightning Cannons are, I guess, trying to trade with the cannons here, while the Plague Claw Catapults are shooting in at the Ironbreakers. So that will be very costly if the Dwarfs just sit back there with those very expensive Ironbreakers. So wisely, Navarre is going to just move up his Ironbreakers right away and take the fight to the Skaven. I do have a couple of units myself kind of in reserve here that I will advance up here with him, and I'm going to start trying to peel around this left flank and see if I can get into the back line a little bit. But Justice is a good player. He's going to respond to that. He's got his 2 units of Silver Helms rotating over to the right flank. He's bringing in a unit of Lothar and Seaguard here, and he's already got a unit of Archer and another unit of Lothar and Seaguard that are shooting in. So while these Skaven artillery are sort of pounding in on the doors, I'm going to be matching up against the High Elves here. I do want to comment that these Plague Claw Catapults they were shooting in at a cannon, and I don't think that's where their ammo is best used. They should have just ignored the cannon, in my opinion, and shot up these Ironbreakers, because the Plague Claw Catapults are really designed for dealing with infantry. If he wanted to do the artillery tool, then he could have done that with the Warp Lightning Cannon, but definitely I would not have bothered using the Plague Claw Catapult ammo on the Organ Gun or the cannon. So I think it's just a minor thing there. My Black Ark Corsairs are going to try and get into these Lothar and Seaguard. They don't have any shields, so they are getting focus fired pretty hard here by Justice. I think Justice doesn't want them to get into the front line. But I drop a Burning Head, which prevents them from shooting a little bit, and it's going to do pretty good damage against the Sea Guard. Just is a good player, so he does pull one of them out of the way, but not having them shooting for a little bit on my advance is sort of a win for me. Harpies get into his archers. Ironbreakers come here and drop some big charges, satchel charges in. So it's getting pretty wild here. There's a big fight going on. Justice sends in the Silver Hounds from reserve, and I have my unit of Dark Shards with shields shooting in at the High Elves. Usually I don't bring the shields, but I figured against High Elf archers, the shields could come in handy. And the Dreadlord is buffing the armor-piercing damage of all of those missile units with his abilities and also the firing rate. So these Dark Riders with repeated crossbows are going to now focus in on the Silver Hounds and try and get their mobility offline. They are going to take out probably a unit of Dark Shards and the unit of and a repeated crossbow, but they're going to take a lot of damage in the process. So it's probably going to be a bit of a wash there. 2 units of Silver Hound is worth 2,000 gold. A unit of Dark Shards and a repeater crossbow combined is worth 1,300 gold. So from my perspective, if I can take out those Silver Hounds, I would consider that a win. Play called Catapult shooting in here on a Sorceress. That is not an optimal use of its ammo. You want to be using it on big balls of infantry. Using it on the Dark Shards here would have been a nice choice, or again, just piling in more play call damage in on these Ironbreakers would have been the way to go in my opinion. On this side, the Output Abomination is going to do very well against the Ironbreakers, and they are getting support potentially from these Poison Wind Globadiers. So very tough situation for these Ironbreakers. They are taking a ton of damage, so it will be up to the resoluteness of the Dwarves to hold things down. Ungrim Iron Fist is sort of in the back line here, trying to keep the artillery line versus the Silver Hounds, but he has no Slayer support, so it's going to be really tough for him to keep those going. There's a Gyrocopter with a Brimstone gun. Probably it should be going after the Silver Hounds right here, but maybe it's shooting in on the Hell Pit Abomination, so that's probably okay too. It does have armor-piercing damage. I don't know. Hell Pit only has 50 armor, so it's not a super big deal. I do have a unit of Corsairs which have rallied and are going to help out either getting into this back line or moving over here. On the right side, Tyrion. So the Silver Hounds have gotten engaged again with the artillery, but I did send a unit of Dark Riders to pin them, and I'm following up with a unit of Dread Spears. So collectively, the Dark Riders plus the Dread Spears are going to break off the Silver Helm. The Poison Wind Globadiers are being chased by the Dreadlord because there's no cavalry or augur support, so I can send these Dark Riders with repeater crossbows into melee mode and just snare basically these units, and then that lets my Corsairs and my Dreadlord catch up to them and punt them. Tyrion is doing what Tyrion does and trying to tank damage, but this is something that I think I just want to comment on really quickly. Like, Tyrion is designed as a duelist lord, right? He's not designed to chase down Dark Shards, so it would take him forever to kill the Bolt Fiends and these other 2 units of Dark Shards. He could do well against the Sorceress, but I pop a Cascading Fire Cloak to buy me a little bit of time, and then I send over the Raven Heralds. So now if you count here, Tyrion's in a bit of a dicey situation because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 units of armor-piercing missile units around him, and he can only really attack 1 of these at a time. So Tyrion has crazy melee defense. He's very, very tanky, but his actual HP pool is not that high. It's about maybe 4k. And so one of the things that he is going to be vulnerable to is armor-piercing missiles. And I think that's one of the strongest counters to Tyrion. So being surrounded by units, like 4 units with armor-piercing missiles, is going to be a really, really tough situation for him. And if you watch, you'll see he is going to start taking damage here. He's playing a little bit of a dipsy-do with the Sorceress, but as this is happening, he's just getting shot up. And the Cascading Fire Cloak was just buying the Sorceress a little bit of time. And if I lose my Sorceress, I don't really care if it takes Tyrion off the map. That's an upwards trade for me. So I'm more than happy for her to take that. And look at how much damage Tyrion just took. The Heart of Avalorn did get popped, so you saw him jump back up to pretty high health. But the Dreadlord's coming over here, and with one big chomp, Tyrion is on life support. He is so low. All my missile units are healthy, and I think this was maybe a turning point in the battle. So the Major Shadows has fallen back here and sort of regrouped and stabilized this backline, but the ammo of these Plague Claw catapults is getting pretty low, and if they don't have ammo to deal with my Dark Shards and you know, whatever's left of these Dwarf Infantry, these Iron Breakers, it's going to be really, really tough for them to win the game. And the Dark Riders are able to, again, tie up the Silver Helm because they're faster. I've been shadowing them with Jet Spears wherever possible. So now we've secured the mobility advantage. Tyrion's offline. And there's only, like, really a Major Shadows and not much else infantry to counter us. The Plague Claws are out of ammo, the Poison Globadiers are low on ammo, so things are looking good. I still have a bit of ammo in my 2 units of Dark Shards, and yeah, Hell Pit Abomination is fighting Ungram Iron Fist, which is the worst possible place for him to be, so props to Navarre for getting Ungram onto him, and down he goes. So just the constant harass from these gyrocopters, who I guess were not being shot up, is done working. Did you see that? That was hilarious. So the Plague Claw catapult for some reason was shooting in at the gyrocopter, which doesn't make sense because it's a flying unit, and it actually hit its own clan rats with the missile. So just a little note there, like, just be careful if you're going to take a Plague Claw catapult to target it on infantry. It does Bear does redirect, I guess, the class. Yeah, see, there again, it's shooting in at the gyrocopter, so not ideal, but these ones are hitting sort of the cookie jar of all these Iron Breakers, and that is very good use of the Plague Claw catapult ammo. So yeah, Tyrion feeling pretty ballsy. He goes right in here to fight Ungram Iron Fist, which is not where he wants to be, but maybe he just wanted to cycle charge and get Ungram off of Tretch, who was taking a lot of damage. I am going to be shooting in here again with my Dark Shards onto Tyrion and the Raven Heralds. Like, if you're careful with their ammo, they can pay dividends for you at only 900 gold. And my Lord's coming over here again to just tap things out. So Sorceress for Fire, showing some balls and going in hard on him. Tyrion definitely paid off. And yeah, Shadow Mage cast a really nice Conundulum across the line of Iron Breakers, so nice play there from Justice. But Balance Bar tilting very heavily in our favor now, and there's really nothing left from the Skaven that we need to be worried about. Opposing Wind Globadiers really don't have mobility to be involved in this fight quickly enough, so we're going to basically wipe off these last little pockets, deal with Tretch, and then once that's done, we can rotate over here to deal with the Poison Wind Globadier. So little cycle charging here, break off Tretch, and that's all she wrote. Onto the end screen. What worked well? I mean, the Dreadlord did pretty good. He gave me a lot of tactical flexibility. I didn't get too like greedy with him and, you know, just charge him into the Plague Claw catapults or the Warp Lightning cannons. So generally happy with his performance. I thought the Bolt Fiends and the Dark Shards did fantastic against Tyrion. They don't have a high kill count, but you saw how much work they put in against Tyrion. So I think they more than paid for themselves. And yeah, nothing too exciting other than that. From my army, from Navarre, these Iron Breakers chevroned up. I mean, they could have and should have been erased, I think, by the Plague Claw catapults, but they do have such high leadership that even if they do take a lot of artillery damage, they're gonna want to keep fighting. And I guess one unit, maybe it was hidden by the trees there and 2 bears didn't notice it, but it didn't get sniped by the artillery, and it was grinding it out there right until the very end. So that was some really nice stuff out of Navarre. And Ungram, he got onto the Hell Pit Abomination, which was the ideal target for him. So really nice stuff out of Navarre there. For 2 bears, I mean, I don't think it's a terrible idea if you're going to go against dwarfs to go a little bit extra into the artillery. Personally, it wouldn't be my course of action. I probably would have gone with Rat Ogres and Death Runners, but, you know, to each their own. I think not having mobility late game and not having magic support was probably something that hurt 2 bears a little bit, and he would have been better off with a little bit of clan rat summons to assist Justice in just tanking a little bit of that damage and screening out some of my skirmish units. So Justice has done really well with his micro. The only comment I think is Tyrion got a little bit greedy, and maybe the Silver Helms pushed out a little bit out of reach of their Lothran Sea Guard support. But you can't fault him for going after the artillery. It was a good idea, and I think we were just able to respond to it with the Dark Riders and basically pin them, and then they took a lot of damage from missile fire on the way in too. So crazy game, very close fought, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.